You know the same mtumishi kwa wote.
I had injuries everywhere. My mouth, my hands.
How can someone do this?
I was charged with being in possession of a homemade pistol. I want my story to be able to touch other people, to be an inspiration to others. My name is Patrick Kabuchi Mudhoni, and this is my story. On the 25th of 2015, I was operating a flight. So I had one Mombasa and an Eldoret flight. So by around 4, I was already done with the flight. So I headed home to my mom's place because all my family were in Nyeri for the December holidays. Then I just stayed in my mom's building for some time, feeding the dog, just talking to the people. It was around December, so everybody's kind of happy. So I was just being friendly. So I was leaving her place. It's a 5 minutes walk to the stage. There were a lot of activities outside. So two guys passed me running. Then 2 guys followed the two people who were running in front. So that's when I noticed one of the cops chasing the 2 guys before. The 2 cops just passed me, but one turned around and came direct to me. So he just started beating me, asking me, "Who are you with?" Ulikuwa na akina nani? So before I could even defend myself, I was already down. The first blow was a little bit, I think that did it for me. Now they told me, "Kaa chini." Before anything, the car was there, but they continued beating me. At one time, he told me, "Kwani wewe ni nani?" That's when I reached out into my pockets and I removed my wallet. He took the wallet plus everything else and just threw it away. So from that moment on, I knew I had no identity. I was anything they wanted me to be. So I just kept quiet. I was bleeding and I had some cuts on my head. And he was still even kicking me, so I had injuries everywhere. My legs, my hands, and my head.
How can someone do this? This is inhuman. Even if it's arresting somebody, you don't beat. If it's my only son who has been subjected to such cruelty, with the same people I would expect, like if anything happens, I would go to them. Where else can you go to?
I was just bundled into the cell. I spent the night there. Mind you, remember, I had injuries. So the injuries I had needed some attention.
Police standing orders provide that if a suspect is injured in police custody, they need to be taken to medical attention. But he spent the whole night in cells before the next day when his mom came to bail him out with a cash bail.
When we went to see the OCS at the police station, he was kind of intimidating to us, like he was trying to instill fear, like we cannot ask anything or who are we.
I think we went back 2 times. Now on the 3rd time is when I was assigned to a junior police officer. So I was told, enda na huyu atakusaidia. That was the agreement. Now he was writing a statement. He was just seated across me so I could read what he was writing. So he started very well. And he got to a point where he started writing. I was cornered by the police and a homemade pistol was discovered. These are not the true events of what happened. So this statement is not true. So he told me, no, even though tunataka kukusaidia. So he had so many written statements. He even told me, unaona hao wengine pia wameandika statement, even though naweza kukusaidia.
And then the issue of money was coming later, after a few days, whereby they were asking for 100,000. Even if it's 100,000 and the boy is innocent, I don't have that much money. And why should I?
On the 4th of January, I was called by a police officer. They told me, kuja police station tumalize ile mane. So in the back of my mind, you see, I never dealt with something like this. So me, I rushed to the police station just to clear what was happening. All of a sudden, the senior police officer just entered and he asked for the charge sheet. So he took the other charge sheet from my mom, scrapped it, wrote a new one, and then I was supposed to appear in court on the 5th of January. I was rearrested again for me to be arraigned in court on the 5th. That's to my surprise, I was charged with being in possession of a homemade pistol. As I was waiting for my case, I was introduced to my lawyer, the lawyer that my mom had secured for me. Seeing him, I was a little bit calm because you see that process is, for me, it's quite foreign. So I was still confused. The prosecutor read the charges. I was asked, how do you plead? I said, I'm innocent. So my lawyer now took over from there. The judge set a cash bill of 200,000. So we weren't prepared for that. So I had to accept my fate and straight to industrial area.
Now I can see people sometimes are jailed for something they didn't do. You know, people are punished for the wrong they didn't do.
The lawyer, because he's a commercial lawyer, he had other cases. So first we had a problem in paying him because now we didn't have funds.
So by the time he was coming to IJM, he had already fallen out with his lawyer because he could not afford his lawyer.
My girlfriend at the time, she now introduced me to the dad. That's how I came to know about IJM, and that's how I reached out to them.
We invited Patrick's mother for an interview with us, and she narrated what happened to Patrick, and we got interested, and later on we also invited Patrick over for an interview. That's how this case came to IJM.
When IJM took over, it was a big relief. A burden was lifted from my heart, but I thank God they came along.
We did our background checks, and one of the things that made us really believe his story was that he was working on that day. We got data from his employer. He was being charged with possession of firearm, and this is a crime that carries a sentence of about 7 to 15 years. So when we accepted to take the case, we found that the case had already progressed, that the main witness, that is the OCS, had already testified. The issue of them assaulting Kabuchi did not come out. This came out now when Kabuchi was found to have a case to answer, and he testified. It is something that the officers made sure had not come out. Prosecution did not bring in any independent witnesses. All the witnesses who testified against Kabuchi were police officers, the arresting officer, the OCS, and another officer who was assisting the OCS, who was successfully able to call 2 witnesses, the neighbor and the shopkeeper who witnessed what happened. The fact that the police did not bother to bring these witnesses to court and the prosecution, this is an inference that should be constituted against them that they were covering up. In the trial, the mother to Kabuchi gave her evidence. They had approached her and asked her to give them 100,000 Kenya shillings. The magistrate found this very disturbing in his judgment, and he commented about that issue of the corruption. And he was wondering why the prosecution had not commented on this issue. To him, they had acquiesced this issue and they seemed to know that it was true. And it was on this basis that magistrate acquitted Patrick. He also noted that no fingerprint analysis had been done on the gun. He was inclined to believe Patrick Kabuchi's story and that he was an innocent victim of circumstances and police brutality.
Once you're in that courthouse, you see your life, you see how easy it is for your life just to change. I saw my mom, remember my mom used to come every other day, and my grandma. So seeing them there was breaking me. Every time we were in court, I could see in their faces, they were dying inside, but they had to be there.
Patrick was kind of like falling into a depression. The people you expect to get help from are the same people who are putting you down.
He developed anxiety. He didn't want to talk about the issue. He also developed fear and also anger. He was very angry towards himself personally and also towards his peers. So those are some of the psychological effects that I saw that he attributed even in the course of the trial.
Let me say I was caged, afraid. Everything in my life kind of took a beating. My career kind of stagnated at that time. I lost some friends, made others. Because now I wasn't that friend who was there for other people. You see, I had something for myself. So for those 3 years, I think the case was the only thing that was the back of my mind. I was, when will this end?
The case took about 3 years to conclude. On that day, I could see some tears flowing from his eyes when the judgment was read and he was acquitted. And in the judgment of Honorable Nyaga, it is better to acquit 10 guilty persons than to convict 1 innocent person.
That day, freedom, first of all, freedom to me was everything. So once I was set free, it was just overwhelming and felt a relief. You get to enjoy life more.
We stepped in and helped Patrick with counseling. We try bring that which is disturbing them. Now for Patrick's case was the issue of alleged arrest and the false charges that were before him. Just the resilience, that confidence that he emulated even during the trial process and even after, despite what you are facing in life, that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
I'm also a member of Kenya Champions of Justice, a group for victims. We give each other support because I thought my story was the only one. So I got to meet other people who had gone through such, try and see where we can help. So for me, it's just the government, just to check your people, just check where you can, or if you get some cases, just try and investigate, try to get to the bottom of it. And the society, let me just, first of all, the church. For me, the church can be the ear to the community and the mouthpiece to the police. And also the ear to the police and the mouthpiece to the community, at least to try and bridge that gap, try and understand how we can help other people.
That's a time, it's a moment that I would always relive the happy faces we had. I thank IJM for the work that they did.
Hey, so.
Drifting away from N'Golo Kante. Kevin De Bruyne! Oh, wow, that's brilliant! That is magnificent!
So lazima hata tumake team ya huku first. Ya kama vijana, najua wako na game. Mimi nataka tu wale wanakuja after sisi wakwe better than sisi. I want my story to be able to touch other people, to be an inspiration to others.